Welcome back to the second edition of the Women of Wrestling podcast. I'm your host, Stu Allen. I'm here with my co-host, Lee Burton.
Hello.
Lee, it's been a hell of a ride this last few weeks since we posted episode 1.
Well, yes, it seems like we've sort of attracted a little bit of attention, and most of it positive, which is a good sign.
Yeah, actually, I've been pleasantly surprised with the fact that most people seem to appreciate the fact of what we're doing and seem to be looking forward to future shows. We certainly hope that we can provide a few really good shows coming up. We've got a lot of stuff in mind, lots of big ideas. We dream big. Don't know how many of them we'll be able to supply, but we'll certainly try our best to give you the best sort of wrestling podcast that we can. But we talk a little bit about the fact that you may be picking this up on the Diva Dirt site for the first time as well. If you did download from Podbean originally. We were successful enough with our downloads on the first show that we ended up exceeding the bandwidth on Podbean for a free account, and we ended up getting 3 different offers of hosting from different websites to come and host the show on there. So again, that's nice to know. That's nice to hear. We ended up going with Diva Dirt.
Yeah, it seems like the website and the ethos behind it is similar to ours. It wants to talk about women's wrestling, focus on women's wrestling, and apparently there's some guys that wrestle too, but we're not going to talk about that here. This is focused purely on the women.
Yeah. So what we've done is we've decided to go out for the second show, and I'm sure Allison Danger probably will not be happy to know, but we've got her number one nemesis for show number 2. And that is one half of the Shimmer Tag Team Champions and the Canadian Ninja herself, Portia Perez.
It's funny that it sort of ended up this way, and it wasn't until just a couple of minutes ago that I thought about it. I thought, well, we've just got 2 feuding people running back to back on the show with each other. But I guess luck is also quite nice when it goes nicely with preparation.
Preparation is never anything we've done an awful lot of. We would like to say thank you very much for anybody who did participate in sending in some questions for the show as well. I'm not sure what, if anything, we'll get asked from the questions that you've suggested, but we'll certainly try and ask a few. Looking forward to getting to speak to Portia. And again, as we said before, this show's out now. Show 3 will be along whenever show 3 comes.
Yeah, well, hopefully, it'll be on a sort of semi-regular basis. I mean, like we said last time, it's not like we have a sort of very strict time frame on when we get to speak to people or when we're going to put shows up or anything like that. It's just a case of, when they're available, when we're available, and when, all the stars align and everything like that. But in the meantime, there are ways of sort of keeping in touch with us. Like we said, there's Diva Dirt where you can download this show, and I believe you still might be able to download the first show with Allison Danger as well. Yes. So if you wanted to have a listen to that. We've also got the new email address, which Stu has.
Yeah, it's wowhosts@googlemail.com. That's wowhosts@googlemail.com. Send in the show feedback you've got there. Or
any suggestions for potential guests perhaps as well.
Yeah, we'll both look at that on a regular basis, and as I say, anything you've got to say, feel free to say it. And apart from that, I think that's pretty much it. We'll ply ahead. We'll welcome Portia onto the show. We are back on the show here with one half of the Shimmer Tag Team Champions and officially the 35th best wrestler in the world, Portia Perez.
Hey, what's up?
Not bad. How does it feel to be almost as good as Kelly?
Be almost as good as Kelly?
That's what PWI say.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That is thrilling then, I suppose.
No,
I was unaware of that.
There you go. No, you've gone up from number 50 to, I think, number 35 this year, so it's been a good year to be Portia Perez.
Excellent. It's good in general that, they're pushing the women's wrestling in PWI again, because it was a good 4 or 5 years since they had done a women's issue since last year's.
Cool.
I think they hadn't done one since like 2003 or something.
Well, I think certainly Shimmer and the TNA Knockouts division and all of those things will certainly help to push the women's cause in North America. So speaking of Shimmer, let's start there. I mean, that's probably the place where you're best known for, and the place where you've had your most visible success. I just want to start by talking about the fact that over the last couple of volumes that have been released, you've you've joined Dave Prazak in the commentary booth.
Yeah.
And you've been tremendously successful. I think you pretty much got unanimous praise for your work. How difficult was that to transition into being a commentator? And I mean, what are your own feelings about carrying on to do some more commentary in the future?
Well, I had wanted to do commentary for a long time. I think I originally talked to Dave Prazak about trying it like maybe 2 years ago or so. So I was a little nervous at first. I wasn't really sure how it was going to go. But luckily it went fairly well. It took a little bit, but it was a fairly natural transition for me, so that was good. And I'm excited to do more commentary and to try to get some more experience doing that. And I'm also doing commentary a little bit down in Texas for Anarchy Championship Wrestling, so I'm having fun sort of getting experience in another part of the wrestling business.
And how did it come about as far as the Shimmer commentary is concerned? How did the whole situation come about with you replacing Danger for those shows? Was it just felt that a change was required, or was it a case of Danger not being available for those shows? What happened exactly?
I'm not entirely sure. All I had said was that I would like the opportunity to do it. So I guess when that opportunity came available for me, I got the chance to give it a try. So I'm not entirely sure why Allison Danger was no longer doing commentary, but I'm glad I got the chance to try it out.
Well, let you get your own back on her after all the various commentary quips she made about you in the past.
Right, like that was just unnecessary.
Exactly. So now you get to show the world your point of view and put over the ninja awesomeness.
Yes, and my point of view is much better than Allison Danger's as it is. So that obviously has a lot to do with this commentary success. I'm looking forward one day to getting the opportunity to do commentary on one of Allison Danger's matches, but I've obviously been busy wrestling in those matches lately, so we'll see how that goes when the time comes.
Just with the commentary for a second, as far as your preparations for it, do you go in there with a whole host of notes and things you want to say, or are you just sitting there and saying things on the fly?
I just say things on the fly. I had seen some of the shows at the show, like particularly the one volume that I didn't have a match on. I got a chance to watch most of it. But I hadn't actually seen the tapes of the shows until we were doing commentary on them. So yeah, most of it was just improvised. Because
I think the thing that I picked up on was there was a lot of sort of the very sort of quick statements that you're making. I was thinking, now have you thought these up on the spot, or are you just that great?
I'm just that great.
Right. Okay, that's good to sort out.
Basically what it boils down to. Yeah.
There was some things that you just said off the top of your head. I think you said on volume 20. Was it 4? I think you're saying something along the lines of, in the 32 years I've been alive and the 44 I've been watching wrestling, I've never seen anything like that. I was on the floor laughing about that one. And your and Dave's reaction, I think, in the main event when Melissa was kicking Sarah Del Rey in the head, it just fits so nicely. I think it sort of captures what I think the viewer will be watching, will be thinking as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think having sort of a fresh person in the commentary booth will just kind of give people, a different perspective of kind of maybe make it a little more along the lines of what they're thinking when they watch it. Because, when Sarah Del Rey got kicked in the face, like, who didn't laugh at that? You know what I mean? But hopefully,
it also makes it
the fans like it.
Well, it also makes it a face-heel commentary team as well, and I think that kind of helps as far as bouncing off each other as far as conversation is concerned, because there's a lot of time when you'll say things which just sound a bit silly, or maybe Dave will say something that you as a character would naturally disagree with.
Yeah, it sort of made for a different dynamic for the shows. I think it sort of gave it a little bit of a fresh feel, and it's just nice to change things up every once in a while.
And how many shows had you commentated on before you went in and did the Shimmer ones?
One. The day before, actually.
So pretty much the extent of us hearing what we got of you on Shimmer was essentially a weekend perhaps?
Yes.
So by that scheme, if you're so good at doing commentary after, let's say, 2 days. It must have took you, maybe 2 or 3 weeks to learn how to wrestle?
Yeah, that's about right. I pretty much came out of the womb able to wrestle again. It's pretty much what happened.
Well, you were quite young when you started watching wrestling, so I understand.
Yeah, when I started watching?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very young.
And what is it? I think it's we read that it's like 2 years old, something like that.
Yeah, like I don't remember exactly, but yeah, I was very little, like young enough that I don't remember not watching it ever.
And then you also started I guess training very young as well, I suppose.
Yeah, I started training at 15. And then I had my first match at 16.
Oh, so for all the sort of the gimmick laughs that Allison Danger had at your behalf of, having to go back to high school after your wrestling matches, you actually were wrestling when you were in high school.
Yeah, my first 2 or 3 years in wrestling, I was still in high school. So that made for some interesting things. Actually, when I was in high school, I actually got called by social services because one of my teachers reported me because I was so bruised and beat up. One of my teachers reported me as being abused. And I had to, explain to social services this crazy story of how I had a wrestling match the weekend before and had come to school with a black eye or something. It was very awkward and kind of, I'm not even sure if they believed it because it was such a sort of out of the ordinary explanation for all these bruises, but.
So did other people at school know that you were wrestling, like your friends, for instance, or any of the teachers?
My friends knew. My teachers didn't at first. Like, what ended up happening was, I live in a pretty small town, and the company that I trained with actually started running this town while I was still in high school, and I was obviously in the shows. And it kind of got a little weird, and it's still a little weird actually now, like a few years later, because it's kind of the type of small town that like everyone goes to the shows. And so it was really hard for people to not know that I was a wrestler. And it was kind of really weird to like go to the store after, because I did a thing where like I disowned my hometown and like burned one of the hockey jerseys. And it was really awkward to like go to the store or something after because like little kids here like really hated me in real life, you know. So it kind of got weird for a couple of years, but it seems to have kind of tapered off now.
The sign of a good heel.
Yeah. It was awkward when I was still in high school, though.
So as far as like, you're moving on with your career and stuff, I mean, you are pretty well travelled, and you've been over to Europe a whole bunch of times. Mm-hmm. You are pretty well travelled for someone who, necessarily 21 years old. I mean, you've probably been more places than I have.
Yeah, I just kind of, while I was growing up and sort of getting into wrestling and everything, I really, I looked up a lot to people like Owen Hart and Chris Jericho and people who learned a lot by traveling to different areas of the world and spent a lot of time of their careers wrestling overseas. So it was definitely a big goal of mine to try to kind of follow that path and kind of go to different areas and try to learn different styles like they did. So Europe kind of became very quickly one of my favorite places to wrestle, so I've been back there several times.
Well, you had a tour in Britain, was it around 2008? I think you were supposed to wrestle on a chick fight show that sort of didn't happen. That was during a sort of spate of time when I think you were getting hurt quite often as well, weren't you?
Yeah, that was just a bad 6 months or so. Injuries for some people come in threes, and they definitely did for me because I actually missed a chick fight due to food poisoning. And that was the same year I broke my hand like a month later. So that wasn't a very good little period of time. But my first tour ever was actually to England in January, February 2006 for All-Star Wrestling for Brian Dixon. And that was still one of my favorite tours ever. That tour is great. They have Robbie Brookside and stuff on the tour, and you know, so many veterans, like you can't not learn being on that tour, you know.
I guess as far as styles are concerned, you've got a lot of influences from a lot of different places. Then I suppose because I guess you probably notice wrestling in wrestling in Britain, wrestling in Europe, different to wrestling in maybe sort of Canada and the US.
Yeah, like the styles in some cases, like a lot of places now are very Americanized. Like Serena Debugger and I did a tour of Europe earlier this year in, I think, March and April. And the style was really no different than what we would wrestle over here. But then, for instance, the tour to England I did in 2006, the style was very, very European, very British. And, like it's a really good learning experience to pick up those different styles. And, I don't really wrestle the British style on a regular basis, but I'm a big fan of it. And, I'd actually like to get to do it a bit more because I haven't done it in so long. But it's nice to know that I have at least a little bit of knowledge of it in my brain somewhere to bust out at some point in time when I need it.
What about Lucha Libre as well? You wrestled a few matches down in Mexico for Lucha Libre Femenil under a mask. What about the Mexican style, the Lucha Libre style? How did you adjust to that? And how does that compare to your other experiences in your travels? I liked wrestling in Mexico. Sarah Del Rey and I were down there at the same time. So, and that was in 2006 as well. I was like 18 when I was in Mexico, and it was a really good learning experience in general. It was a really good learning experience to live in Mexico and also to wrestle in Mexico. The Lucha Libre style is not my particular favorite style of wrestling, but I do enjoy it sometimes. I can't say that I would necessarily ever be the type of wrestler who would be able to go to Mexico long term and wrestle that style long term because it's just not my forte in wrestling. But it's nice that I have some experience from Mexico, and hopefully I bring a little bit of that into my wrestling now, even if it's not always evident. But what I took away mostly from Mexico was just more of a life experience from living down there, and also a much improved work ethic from going to the gym with Sarah Del Rey every day. Yeah, there's a lot of that going around. That's pretty much what most people say about Sarah Del Rey. Let me ask you then just about your current character. Then you've been all around the world. You've incorporated these different pieces of wrestling into what makes you, and you've now come up with this ninja, the Canadian Ninjas. I don't want to say gimmick because, I think you're living the gimmick in some respects. But, tell us about the evolution of the Canadian Ninjas as a tag team.
Basically, like when Nicole Matthews and I started teaming, we didn't know each other at all. We actually met like the day before the first time we teamed together. And I think a lot of the evolution of us as a team has to do with the fact that we've become very, very good friends over the past couple years. She lived with me for a little while last year. We talk a lot. We've obviously wrestled a lot more shows together since then. And I think just becoming good friends has obviously made us a much better team. It makes us understand each other's personalities and strengths and weaknesses better. So it's obviously going to make you a better unit. And Nicole Matthews has obviously come a really long way since she first came to Shimmer. I think she's really starting to break out as one of the sort of next stars to watch, sort of the next Nikki Roxx's or Serena Debugger's of Shimmer. And that obviously is going to come through in our tag team work as well. So, I think a lot of it has just been us improving and evolving as singles wrestlers, and it sort of coming together as a tag team. And, as we evolve as singles wrestlers, we sort of evolve to take our roles in the tag team. We each kind of have a very distinct role in the team, and we're becoming more confident in those roles and just better in those roles, and it's hopefully just going to keep getting better for us.
And with regards to the Canadian Ninja look, you guys have gone for the distinctive Canadian pink and black. And I mean, you've been wearing the pink and black essentially since you started in wrestling. Is it as simple as saying that was a tribute to the Harts?
I grew up as a big Owen Hart fan. Actually, when I was little, I strongly disliked Bret Hart, but now I obviously respect Bret Hart. Yeah, I think it originally started as something of an Owen Hart tribute. My new gear that I just got is actually lesser the pink and black, so some people may take issue with that, I'm not sure. But, yeah, it kind of came about with I originally got pink and black and ended up with pink and black boots and kick pads, and then started to resent the fact that I had pink and black kick pads because I was unable to change the colors of my gear, which is pretty much how I ended up with pink and black gear for so long. And,
we sort of compounded that because you got the pink bandana as well. What's that all about? Is that any kind of homage to anybody, or is that just a little bit more of the look?
The pink bandana?
Yeah, you got it tied underneath your knee pad.
Yeah, it's a homage to the Rock and Roll Express is what that is. And I'm not a superstitious person, but I used to only wear it sometimes. And I started wearing it around the time when I had sort of a slew of injuries. And I started to become very superstitious about the fact that when I would wear the bandana, everything would go okay. So I started wearing it for every match, and I'm now pretty superstitious about it. It actually went a good 2 years without even being washed until I decided it just needed to be washed, and that superstition had to stop.
That's pretty disgusting.
Yeah, it was pretty gross.
Okay, I suppose that bandana, because I remember we were at the Shimmer show. When was it, Stu? Was it last October?
Last October, yeah.
Yeah, last October during that Tag Team Championship gauntlet, where you sort of came out on sort of the worst end of it.
Of the gauntlet?
Yeah, I think I remember you being. It was either in that gauntlet or in the match afterwards, where didn't you suffer a broken jaw or something like that?
Oh yeah, in the match, the taping after, yeah, I dislocated my jaw and ruptured my eardrum.
And that was all from one kick, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just one kick, and it was just like a fluke thing. Like if you watch the video, like I could see where I had it, but I don't think you would ever really know how badly I was injured from the one kick. It was just placed in the right spot that it just knocked my jawbone out of place. So that was not so good, but it's pretty much better now. Like I still have some problems with it, but luckily it's healed up fairly well.
Let's talk a little bit just about another couple of things that have happened to you in Shimmer. On the last show that we did, we talked to Allison Danger about the controversy about the angle that you guys did, where you sort of threatened the safety of her unborn baby at that point. And I mean, what about your point of view on this? I mean, what were your thoughts before and after? Did you have any misgivings about doing something like that? I guess if you were burning hockey jumpers when you were 16, you probably didn't care, but I mean, did you have any misgivings about doing an angle that would be potentially perceived as being in bad taste?
Truthfully,
yeah,
I wanted to and still would have liked to take it further.
Really?
Truthfully. And I think the fans had every right to be mad about it, and I wanted the fans to be mad about it, and I still want the fans to be mad about it. And I actually got mad at the fans for not being more upset about it. I was actually very upset after that angle.
Wow. So I mean, okay, in a fantasy booking moment, then, I mean, how far would you have taken it? What would have been your preferred way of doing that angle?
I'm not sure exactly. I don't know. I would have to think about it more. I would have liked to play up on it more and to have maybe brought the fans' reaction into what I was talking about, because I thought that maybe some of the fans treated it as too much of a non-event. I think sometimes the fans maybe think that, I don't know, that they are so smart to the product that they're unwilling to become involved in what's going on. And they wouldn't hate me for it, and that really upset me. And, I was very much under the thought that if the fans didn't want to hate me for it, maybe we should talk about that. And I would have liked to have done that, but we didn't. We went to the street fight, and that was very good. So That's what ended up happening.
Because I think you've done an awful lot with your character in Shimmer just to try and get yourself noticed, to get yourself over, I guess. I mean, another thing that you did that was just wacky enough that people liked it was the epic Portia Perez body slam challenge and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, how much of the character of Portia Perez is you, and how much of it is stuff that you've been given by Dave or others to try and incorporate into your character? I get the impression most of it's you.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, I don't want to downplay other people's input. The body slam challenge, was my idea. But I think, other people, Dave, Nicole Matthews, other people have obviously helped shape everything to do with, the product. And I'm not outside the realm of being shaped by them. So, but I spend a lot of time sort of trying to think of ways to take my character, and also a lot of it just comes through naturally. I think it would maybe surprise some people that a lot of the things that have become bigger aspects of Portia Perez were maybe not planned out, but were more of an accident and just happened and sort of snowballed through, fan reaction and stuff like that. So, like the cookie, for instance, was a complete accident, but that ended up becoming one of the bigger character points, so...
Yeah, I mean, that's actually something I'd like to talk about, actually. It's an interesting thing. The cookie obviously was a play off the fact that, I guess Dave and Allison on commentary and a lot of the fans had sort of picked up on it and played into the fact that, you've got a very youthful appearance, and that's sort of become part of what made Portia Perez. And I'm just wondering, with regards to that, I mean, do you think, what sort of positives and negatives do you take out of the fact that's been your character, that's been based on your sort of youthful appearance? Do you think there are negatives for it or positives? Do you think you're not taken seriously enough because of it?
I think there's definitely, both. There's positives and negatives. Positives, it's obviously a very unique gimmick to do, and it's something that, other people couldn't necessarily take, It's something that's very unique to me because of the look I was kind of born with. And I'm very kind of grateful for that I was sort of given a natural character. And it just gave me a lot of other options to go with that other people might not be able to do, and gave me kind of my own little corner of the market.
Yeah, definitely.
Negative. The biggest negative I would say right now is, I'm almost 22 now, and I find it very hard to transition with getting older in real life and having a character who is also trying to get older. Mm-hmm. I find that to be a very difficult transition because I'm starting to look older, I'm starting to feel older, all these things, and it's very hard having a character that's young and you can't always control the fact that you're getting older. That's something that's out of my control. So that is sort of proving to be a little bit of a hard transition. But overall, I'm very grateful for it because it really helped me make a name for myself and stand out, and sort of just gave me a uniqueness that just ended up sort of snowballing and helping me along in my career so far. So I generally dig it.
Well, you sort of carried it pretty well. At the moment, was it last month you became the Anarchy Championship Wrestling American Joshi champion?
Yes.
So that must be a big one for you as well.
Yeah, that's really exciting for me. We actually renamed it the Canadian Joshi Championship.
Of course.
So yes.
Beautiful nod to Lance Storm.
Yes, thank you. It's really cool for me, you know. Titles are obviously always a big honor and everything, and I really enjoy wrestling down in Texas, so that's very cool that they are now forced to use me on a more regular basis. And yeah, that's really cool. And I'm actually going back there October 19th for my birthday Palooza show, so that will be very cool.
Oh, that's tremendous.
Yeah.
There's a lot of promoters who it looks like they're sort of having a lot of faith in you and putting a lot of stock in you by giving you titles. You know, your SHIMMER Tag Team Champion, you're the Canadian Joshi Champion as well. It must feel good that people like believe in you and you know, think that, you know, you could be the face of this promotion.
Yeah, like it's definitely I don't know, like I don't really know what to say about that.
Humble.
It's very kind of flattering, and you know, it's very cool that people have that much faith in me, and sort of long-term faith in me, to use me in that regard, and hopefully I do well for them, you know.
I know you're on the phone right now, but I'm assuming you're blushing.
No, Portia
Damn
Perez
it!
does not blush. Ever.
Ninjas don't blush, yeah, I forgot.
Ever.
Let's talk about the show you did at the weekend. This past weekend, you were involved in the NCW Femme Fatale debut show. I mean, we've seen a few pictures, and it seems to have been a good event. Any impressions from that show?
I was very excited leading into that show, and I'm still very excited about it because there haven't been a lot of all-women shows in Canada, and I've wrestled on most of the ones that have happened in the past couple of years. And I was very excited, first of all, for some sort of top American women's talent to come up and see how they were responded to in Canada, to see if the fans in Canada knew them and if they were, you know, as aware of the women's wrestling movement as fans are in the U.S. And I was also really excited to see if a women's show would draw in Canada. And it definitely drew. It was a great crowd. And the show was great. I watched most of it, and it was a great show. And the fans were absolutely right on the ball. They know exactly what Shimmer is. They know exactly who Cheerleader Melissa and Sarah Dell and Mischief are and everything they've done. And it was really exciting for me to see women's wrestling be taken so positively, so close to home. And it really was sort of just a positive thing in general.
You wrestled Kylie Place, is that right?
Yes.
Any impressions on that match? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I did. I had never wrestled or even met her before, and I thought it went well. I had fun, and I thought she was a good wrestler. I thought it went well, you know. So that's about it. It was a good match.
It's quite surprising because I guess, you know, we were just researching Kylie Place because we were just finding out a bit more information about her, and I found some videos of her wrestling in 2005, and she's wrestled Abdullah the Butcher, and she was in CZW's Tournament of Death by the looks of it as well. It's quite surprising that your paths hadn't crossed until now.
Yeah, it's funny, just sometimes there's wrestlers who, you know, kind of everyone who I know knows, and they've been around for a while, and I've been around for a little bit, and for some reason you just never cross paths, you know? Like, I don't know why, but that just happens sometimes, I guess. But, yeah, no, I really enjoyed the match. I thought it was good.
All right. Well, let's look towards the future as far as you're concerned, and you know, we'll talk first of all about the fact that last December, you had a tryout in TNA. I think you had one match against Angelina Love. I think it was around the same time that Ashley Lane had her tryout as well. And I guess they went for Ashley on that day. How do you think your TNA tryout went, and have you still got interest in working there? I guess you have.
Yeah, the tryout went great, which is good. I was a little nervous going into it because it was less than 2 months out of that jaw injury we had talked about before. But it went great, and we still, I still am in contact with them, and hopefully something happens at some point in time. Sometimes it's just a waiting game more than anything, or, you're not necessarily what they're looking for at the time. But I thought it went great, and until then I'm very happy with what I'm doing, so it's all good.
Were they trying you both out for the same spot in the Beautiful People at the time? I mean, were you told that? Was that what you were told when you went for the tryout, or? No,
because I wrestled Angelina in the tryout. So that's definitely not what I was brought in to try out for. But yeah, I'm not sure I'm not sure what the deal was with Ashley's tryout, obviously, but to my knowledge, we weren't brought in to try out for the same spot.
Do you watch much of the TNA and WWE products as far as the Divas and the Knockouts divisions?
Yeah, I try to watch as much as I can. Sometimes I obviously miss it, especially Friday night SmackDown. I'm obviously not often home on Friday, but I try to catch it as much as I can.
Any particular names that that you see that you think you'd like to hook up with one day?
Yeah, there's no one who I wouldn't want to wrestle. Of people who I've never wrestled before, I would really like to wrestle Beth Phoenix because I think she's great. And I'd like Natty Neidhart and I wrestled in 2004 or something, and not since then. So I would really like to wrestle with Natty again. And from TNA, ODB and I had one match before, and I really, really liked it. So I'd really like to wrestle ODB again sometime. But I really like all the girls, so it's not like I wouldn't want to wrestle any of them. I'd like to wrestle whoever.
Just sort of sticking with WWE for a second, then you talked about wrestling Serena Debugger earlier on in the year. You're all over Europe wrestling her, and now she's just been signed to a developmental deal. What are your thoughts?
I think that's great for her. That's what she got into wrestling to do, and she's so good. I don't even think a lot of fans understand just how good she is, and I'm really glad that she got signed, and I hope that she does really well down there because I was really glad when she got signed.
Well, tell you what we'll do. We'll put out the call for some questions before the show, and we got a bunch of questions, and we've asked some of them, but let's have a little bit of quick fire questions here, if that's all right with you. These are some questions that have come in from some fans. One gentleman asked, do you have any plans to wrestle out in California anytime soon or anywhere else in the western U.S.? That's a place where you don't wrestle very often.
I would love to wrestle out west. I don't have anything out west. Texas is about as far west as I get on a regular basis. I would love to go to California, though. So I don't have any plans anytime soon, though.
Gotcha. Just need someone to book you.
Exactly. Someone should book me in California.
Someone book Portia in California.
Yeah, you're listening. Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly, right?
There you go. But put out an advert for yourself right now. You California promotion, book me.
I want to go wrestle in California. I want to go to Disneyland. Someone book me in California.
Portia Perez at Disneyland. This is just, the world just smiles at that thought.
That's fantastic. Another quick fire question. If you could choose anyone in the world to face off against past or present, who would you choose and why?
I don't know. That covers a lot of ground, right?
All right, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know it was a difficult one, but I thought I had to ask just to see if you had...
Yeah, that covers a lot of ground.
You had one particular wrestling idol that you would really love to wrestle or something like that?
I don't know. I'd really like to wrestle Princess Suhei. We worked an 8-woman match together down in Mexico, and the 30 seconds I was in the ring with her were awesome. So I would really like to get the chance to wrestle a singles match with her at some point in time. There are obviously a lot of women who I look up to a lot. Sabi Apache, Mariko Yoshida, who I've obviously never wrestled, who I would really like to get the chance to wrestle. There's no one person in particular that really sticks out in my mind as someone who, like, I would really, really love to wrestle, but people along those lines, I would say.
Okay. One more quick-fire question. Do you have a wrestling philosophy? What is your philosophy of wrestling?
I'm like a philosopher of wrestling, girl.
I guess.
My philosophy of wrestling is to be better than everybody else and win lots of titles, so I have to keep booking. So, my philosophy of wrestling is just, I don't know, like, I think it should be for the fans, you know, and it should help the fans to feel better about their lives. And when the fans are enjoying themselves, everyone's going to have a good time. And, yeah, so that's really what I try to do with my wrestling is I try to make it about the fans. That's why I get so frustrated when the fans won't meet me halfway with things, you know, because I really try as hard as I can to make things, to make wrestling represent something to fans and make them feel better about their lives. So, yeah, I guess that's sort of my wrestling philosophy.
Well, there's one thing that I wanted to ask about. The people have asked you about, you know, who you'd like to wrestle in WWE or TNA now and who you'd like to wrestle past or present, but I've got a question for you, and this is the important one.
Okay.
Okay, right. You, Canadian Ninja.
Yes.
Who would win in a fight between you and Donatello, the Ninja Turtle?
I think I would win, just because if you knock the turtle down once, he will not be able to get up off his back, right? So you
Right.
could then pin him, even if he was still fine.
But he's like the ding-dongs, you can't get his shoulders down, because he's got his shells, so how are you going to get his shoulders down?
Up.
So what are you going to do, like count it down for 10?
Each other. What's up?
Hang on, the Shredder fought the Turtles.
Like, he'd still be down, you know?
The Shredder fought the Turtles, they're both ninjas.
His shoulders would kind of be down. Do turtles even have shoulders?
I think so, I don't know. Stu, did they have shoulders? I think we're going to have to get on Wikipedia and find this out.
Yeah, I'm not sure that turtles have shoulders. Ninjas don't really ever fight each other anyways. Like Nicole Matthews and I would never fight each other, really. I'm sure
there must be a time when you just think, you know, you just think it over in your head and you're thinking, you know, how would I beat Nicole, you know? If I had to fight Nicole for whatever reason, how would I beat her using my ninja skills?
Nicole Matthews and I would never fight each other.
I guess I'm just thinking if you live together and you haven't fought, then that's probably a good sign.
Exactly. We're like two parts of one greater ninja, right? So, I don't know.
Well, on that bombshell, I want to say, Portia, thank you very much for giving us some of your time today. Been much appreciated. Thank you for giving us a fun interview. And before we go, you want to talk about anything about where you're going to be seen next? Any shows you got booked? Anything big that you're looking forward to? You want to make people aware of?
I will be in Austin, Texas, for my birthday palooza, October 19th. So that is a big one. Everyone should come celebrate my birthday.
Everybody needs to bring presents.
Yes, and everyone should bring me lots of presents. I really like money in particular. November 8th in Berwyn, Illinois is the next SHIMMER taping. There are less than 100 tickets left, I am told. As I'm told, I am reading the text message. So, so definitely come. And SHIMMER Volumes 23 and 24 are just recently released with my commentary debuts, so everyone should pick those up. That was the longest plug of all time.
No, that's all right. You got all the important points on. And again, thank you very much.